Hey everybody, Dave here from Dave Tries to Fix Stuff, the channel dedicated to the repair, restoration, and resurrection of broken stuff. Today's episode, we are going to be concentrating on this here guitar. It is a Rockwood Pro by Hohner, an RP150G. Found this thing on Craigslist or OfferUp, one of those websites, you know, the stuff where everybody sells their used shit. Got this thing for 15 bucks, I think. Yeah, I got it a while ago, but got it for 15 bucks. Been sitting in my car for a while, but I do park in my garage, so it hasn't been sitting there baking. This is obviously a Strat clone, if you will. It's got a lot of cleaning up that needs to happen. I don't know, I'll get some close-ups here, but I'm sure you can see here, I mean, it's pretty friggin' dirty. I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera, but it's definitely got some dirt and grime and all kinds of crap stuff to it. It's got a broken pickup selector there, pickup switch there, so we're going to have to get that changed out. Obviously missing the whammy bar. But all in all, it is complete. We'll get this thing taken apart, broken down. Ooh, there's another problem right there that I just noticed the other day too. It looks like right here the fretboard is separating from the neck, so I'm probably gonna have to get heat up a putty knife or a hot knife and get that separated out all the way across both sides, so I can kind of pry that out just a little bit and get some glue down in there and clamp it and get it fixed back up. But we are going to get this thing workable, working, playing, all that good stuff. So if you want to see if I can actually accomplish that, it will be fun to find out. Stick around and we'll get going. Alright, now before I start actually ripping this thing apart, it's probably a good idea if I test it and make sure everything actually works on here. I have a little solid state amplifier down here I can plug it into, and I can check to see if all the controls and the pickups work. So you can actually kind of test by taking a metal object like this, something ferrous, and touching the poles on each pickup. And you want to test having the pickup switch go in. There you go. There's music. I need to quit having beer before I do this. You want to have the pickup switch in the right place, and like it's back all the way, so it should just be this one. So you want to test to make sure this one has sound, which it does, and this one does not, which it does not. That one too. So you can hear the difference. Now if I go to the next one, it should be this one and this one, so I should get sound, which I do, and this one should not. Yep. Oops, sorry. Then go to the middle one. Should have no sound here, no sound here, but sound here. So there we go. And then go to this, which should be these two, so no sound here, but sound here and here. Great. And then just up here. So we know the pickups work, that's great. This works, but the switch works, but we're obviously going to have to change it because it's broken. So another thing I want to do is I want to test the tone pot. So this tone pot should be for this one, so let's click it as we turn it. And it works. You can hear, you can probably hit this too. That works, and then we want to go to the middle one. Well, this needs to be cleaned out, obviously. It works, but there's not a whole lot of change in the tone there, to be honest. I guess there is. might want to check the pot on that just to make sure, and check the tone cap. It might be a value that we want to switch to get a better response from that. But and then so everything apparently electronics wise works, so we're good to start taking it apart and getting it to where we can get everything cleaned up. Okay, so let's go. Well, you know, I'm looking at this thing and I expected it to have it's nighttime right now and I'm just working on my dining room table, so I just got the overhead lights. I don't have great light right now, but I expected this thing, being a cheap guitar like this, to have it be a laminate, like a plywood, or what everybody calls a plywood. And I'm looking at this thing and it doesn't look like plywood, although there's there's something squirrely in here too going on. I'll show you in a minute. Let me get this taken apart the rest of the way and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But this is looking kind of squirrely, so yeah, I'll show you that in a minute. Let me get it taken apart the rest of the way. It's got crayon on it. Nice. The guy who had this before me did not take care of this. Wow. Look at the difference there. You can see where it's clean and what is dirty. I mean, yeah, you can see this thing is friggin' filthy. So, but that's part of the fun, right? It's got a little piece of cardboard in here as a shim, which might be necessary. Yeah, this thing does not look, this thing looks like it's solid wood. That's crazy. I really expected this thing to be a laminate, so that's weird. Anyway, so this is what I meant to show you. This is what I wanted to show you right here. I don't know how well this is going to turn out. You can see this thing is routed out really weirdly. It's like routed. Normally you're going to see this come all the way through, and this is going to be a solid piece right here, because this is supposed to be what the see if I can see this, sorry. When you see this, the bridge on the other side should be going into this, but it's like this got routed out completely and they screwed up and routed too far down into this section here. So all the screws that are holding the bridge in are going through this and protruding through the bottom of that. But weird. Anywho, let's continue, shall we? Alright, I had to go get my drill. because this is, I mean, as much as a workout as my forearms get on a daily basis, this is too much of a pain in the ass to do by hand, so hopefully this will make it easier. Oh yeah, oh, so much easier. That way I can put all this shit in here. Some of it's fine, but some of it needs to be washed and cleaned, and it's got gook all over it, so I can fill this up with some, a little bit of water, a little bit of like dishwashing detergent, and then shake it like a Polaroid picture, and it'll clean most of this shit off. I mean, holy moly. Can you see that? Look at the dust and grime and filth on that thing. Yuck. You see that? I mean, I am far from a neat freak. I'm not a prude. You know, my house gets messy like anybody else, but I continually don't understand. I mean, even if you have a piece of music equipment like this that is, it says 0 minutes, huh? Even if you have a piece of musical equipment that like this that is not worth very much money, I don't understand why people don't take care of their shit. I mean, I bought this for 20 bucks. It's not the first guitar I've bought for 20 bucks. I buy guitars all the time that are cheap, no name, or, you know, known for being cheap and well, I noticed my camera kind of died there. But I was in the middle of a rant. Put that back around. I was in the middle of a rant talking about the fact that nobody takes care of their shit, and my point is that I've got a cheap guitar here. I bought several cheap guitars, you know, under 50 bucks, several times, ranging from, you know, all kinds of no-name brands. And I mean, they're not powerhouse guitars. They're not anything I'm ever going to get, you know, thousands of dollars for. They're not Gibsons. They're not American-made Strats. But the biggest difference, and I've said this before to many people, I'm gonna grab my beer because I'm in rant mode now. The biggest difference between a cheap guitar and expensive guitar is A, the amount of time spent on the finish, and B, the amount of time spent on the neck. I mean, yes, you've got high grade lumber that you're using. You know, you got tone woods and stuff, which tone woods is a whole. You go listen to any number of people on YouTube that can get into big debates about tone wood. I am in the camp of, take this for what it's worth. I'm in the camp of, if it is a solid electric guitar, solid body electric guitar, so much more of your tone has to do with the quality of your electronics and most of all your amplifier. Tone woods, although they do play a bit of a role in the overall sound, not nearly as much. I don't think it's worth paying for some fucking, you know, almost extinct species of African, you know, mahogany, Honduran, whatever bullshit to get that little difference in tone. If you're playing an acoustic, or you're playing a hollow body or semi-hollow body, yeah, I think that plays a lot more of a role in the tone. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, I mean, I've heard guitars that were made out of pine that sound amazing because of A, because of who was playing them, but B, because they had good electronics and they were played through a good amplifier. But, you know, and guitars that I have, even the cheapest ones, I bought a Harmony for 35 bucks from a pawn shop once, and I took it home and it was in horrible shape, but just like I'm doing with this one, I got it all cleaned up, and it was the one that had a burst like this, and it had the 60s style body, and a couple of single coil pickups that were the size of humbuckers in there, with didn't even have a pickup selector. It was on-off switch for each pickup, and it was a cool guitar. Nothing wrong with it at all. It was just, it had been neglected. But after I got it cleaned up and oiled the neck real good, which I still oil the neck all the time. I try to do that with all my guitars. It's a fine guitar. I mean, does it sound like a Les Paul? No. Does it sound like a Strat? No. It's got its own specific sound, and there are times when I want that sound and I go grab that guitar. And granted, it's never going to fetch high dollars, but that's no reason to not take care of it. So seeing this kind of neglect on a guitar, it perplexes me. But the other point that I would make on that is that if everybody took care of their guitars, I wouldn't find this guitar for 15 bucks. This guy could have gotten way more money for this if he'd have taken care of it. So that was my rant, but rant over, and I deserve a drink of my beer for that. So, but we're going to take this guy off right here. Oops, wrong way. And then that needs to be cleaned. That's fine. And then we can take this out of here. I've got several. I mean, this is a single ply. I'm debating with myself if I want to upgrade any of this stuff right here. I don't care that it's a single ply. If it were a black guitar, it would fit in better. If it were, or just I don't know. I look at this and the fact that this is a burst finish, and it really is. I'm telling you, I'm looking at this thing, and this is solid wood. This is a solid hunk of wood. I mean, whoever did the routing on this, I think, was drunk that day, but it's solid wood. So, God, what is this like? Is this a maple? And this is a really heavy body. It's really heavy for being a solid chunk of wood. That's why I was surprised, because normally when they're this heavy, they're plywood or laminate, for lack of a better term. And oh my God, do they put on my dog just went outside. Do they put on a thick layer of friggin' finish on this? I mean, it's creeping down the sides and just, I mean, it's thick. But either way, I mean, it is solid wood. So the only thing that I don't understand is when they did the routing of this part of it, they routed down way too far where the bridge was supposed to be. This should be a more solid piece of wood that comes up even with this section right here. And that's like a good ½ an inch deeper of a cut right there. I mean, so much so that when they routed into this cavity, as you can see. So I don't understand that, but I got all the polishing compound on me. Anyway, let me get some dish soap in a thing with some water, and I can start cleaning all this stuff off. We'll see how clean we can get this. So I'll be right back. So mocos. Yuck. I don't know what he set that down in. It might have been boogers. It might have been shit. I don't know what it was. But it was hard. It was crusty. And it was in my way. Alright, so I'm seeing here there's a couple of places where we've got Let's see if that'll show up. Marks like that right there, scuff marks. Got one, a real good one, right. See if that'll get that to show up in the camera. It's tough to tell. Like that one right there. Like this thing was either dropped or something was dropped on it. A lot of times you can get this off like with your nail, which it's kind of coming off. The other thing you can do, what I've done before. Now, I'm going to show you this, but I want you to realize that this is not something you can do and then after you've done it, just leave it. That's not going to work, okay? Because it'll mess up your finish. But when you have something like these things right here, again, I don't know how well these are showing up, but you've got that guy right there, okay? I'm going to show you. I've got a green scrubby, okay? Now, again, before everybody loses their fucking mind, I understand when you use this kind of thing on a finish like this, it's going to scuff your finish. The trick is to don't use a lot of pressure because you don't want to dig down into the poly finish. But B, what I'm going to do after I get it all done is I'm going to come back with some rubbing compound, like some polishing compound, and I'm going to repolish this whole thing. So anywhere where I've scuffed up the finish on it using this, I'll be able to fix. So it will work to make it easy work of getting this kind of stuff off of here. Because instead of sitting here and trying to grind it out with my fingernail, like watch this. You have this right here, and again, I don't know how well this is showing up. I think it's showing up okay. But all I have to do is just go over it real simple, real easy. Boom, it's already gone. Where I would have sat there with my fingernail and gone over it a million times trying to get it done. So I can go over this thing and get all these little spots here that have that just real light pressure. I mean, almost no pressure, almost just like the weight of this thing. And I can get all that stuff off of there. And then I'll come back later on with some polishing compound and polish the whole thing. And it'll be good as new. I mean, this thing will look, when I'm done with this thing, it's going to look like it just came off a showroom floor. Even though I doubt this thing was ever in a showroom, it was probably mail order from China. Beer break. I've had a couple of beers, so I don't remember. Did I talk about the fact that I was thinking about changing this out to something else? I've got a bunch of them. If I did, I apologize. But I mean, look at that. Come on. Look at the grime around those things. Ugh. I'm gonna have to take this stuff out of here. Yeah, I'm gonna take all that off and clean it all separately. But if I do, I mean, I've got a I think I've got a, what's it called? Like the tortoise shell, the red tortoise looking one of these things. And I've got some like cream colored, I think I do. I have some cream colored ones of these and all that. Or maybe I'll do the tortoise shell just with the white. That might be a good idea too. I don't know. We'll play around with it and see what we can get. I think I started talking about that was the fact the one ply on like a black one or something looks good, but when it's a burst like that, it's a little bit, quote unquote, higher end finish. So even if I kept a white, I think I would want to get a white one, but like a 3-ply white one, white pick guard, as opposed to just a single ply white pick guard. But then again, this is a $15 guitar for me. So do I really want to spend, I mean, if I have the stuff already, yes, I'll do it, but I don't think I'm gonna, I got a bunch of crap up in my part stash upstairs, and you know, if I've got parts already to do all this stuff, great. But I mean, otherwise, I mean, I'm 95% sure that I have a pickup selector switch that will fit right here. And if I do, then great. If not, I'll have to buy one just because it needs to be functional. But other than that, I don't want to buy anything for this. If I've already got it, great, I'll use it. But if I don't, then I'm not going to spend more money trying to get this guitar to be playable and good. Hey buddy, how you doing? You done barking out there? Huh? You done barking out there? You being a tough guy and protecting us? Yeah, good boy. All right. Yeah. Yeah, good boy. And out he goes again to protect us. I got a Mastiff. He's an awesome dog. He's when it's friends of mine that are here, he's a gentle giant, man. He's so laid back, but you know, luckily I've never had anybody ever try to, you know, break in or, you know, mess with me in any way when he's around. It would be interesting to see how he would respond. I mean, he may just, you know, just sit down and say, hey, come on in, you know, give me some food or pet me and you'll be my friend. But aside from that, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know how he would react, but I tell you what, he's a big dog, and if he ever wanted to show somebody who was boss, he would have very little trouble doing so. I was like doing that. I like when I wash one of them off, you know, sitting it down and comparing it to one that I haven't washed. Oh, excuse me. So that I can compare, you know, how clean. So it feels like, you know, I'm actually accomplishing something. I'm not just wasting my time trying to clean this stuff off. And you know, these kinds of tuners are, you know, when it comes to cheap instruments, they're fairly ubiquitous. I mean, they're on 90% of like the very low scale low-end guitars. And they're not great tuners, obviously. In fact, they're probably pretty crappy tuners. But the thing that can be said about these tuners is they can be salvaged to an extent that, see, these are all pretty sturdy. This one feels a little, it's got a little bit of play in it right here, this high E string. But the rest of these are all very sturdy. So they're actually in pretty good shape. But what's good about these is that you can get a, you know, I can use this right here and I can actually get the, if I don't jab my thing here, I need a smaller screwdriver to do it. But you can pop these covers off of these and you can grease them real good so that they end up, you know, being a lot smoother. And that's what I'll do with these too, because I don't think I'm gonna, I was thinking originally, I mean, I've got several sets of, you know, low-end tuners up in my stash up there, but I don't see any reason not to use these if they're working well, you know. These are complete. Like I said, they've all got, they're all sturdy. This E screen's got just a little bit of play in it, but you know, really not much at all. And the neck is already cut and drilled for these, so why not reuse them, you know, if they're working. So I think I'll probably just take these apart, lube them up really good, and they'll do the job. I think they'll do the job well. So. Oh, you know what else I need to do? Ooh. One other thing I didn't notice here is this nut is like coming off, but like not. Looks like it's glued down on this side, not on this side. So I'm gonna have to get a different tool to kind of wedge in there and see if I can knock that out without chipping anything. Let's hope. Be right back. Alrighty, so. I want to take it kind of slow. I don't want to just jam something in there and pry it up, because that's how you end up getting, it looks like, yeah, it looks like there's already a little bit of a chip right here. So I think this guy's already probably taken this out. This might be something because I don't know if I want to reuse this one. I might, if I can get it out in one piece and get it cleaned up and working right, I might reuse it, but this is just a plastic nut, and I might want to get myself a little higher quality nut to put in here. I don't know. It all comes down to how it comes out of here. Before I do this, I have to steady my nerves. All right. Okay, have the EMT standing by, please. Jesus Christ. Fuck. See? That's what I'm talking about. God damn it. That's why I can't do this stuff while I'm drunk. I really wasn't even putting that much pressure on it, to be honest with you. Holy shit. See, now I'm going to have to glue all these pieces back down. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it is kind of a pain in the ass. Now I need to pick these off very carefully and put them over here where I can save them, because it just chipped the entire edge of this fucking thing. And it looks, I don't know who, this is obviously, I mean, unless the people that built this thing are absolute fucking morons. I mean, this thing's got a, this had to be something that whoever had this before did, because there's like a shim in here. You know what? Here, let me, this thing's on a stand and I can't really remove it, but I don't know if you can see this, but like there's a, you can see right there, there's a yellow shim in there, and it's just, it's, I don't know. So I don't think that's factory, but you know, and I'm sitting there picking at this thing, and I don't know. There's a piece of something in here aside from the shim that I'm trying to get out. It's not a piece of something. It's fucking glue. Because I don't know what they used for glue in this thing, but it was enough to where it fucking. Oh, I'm mad at myself for doing that. I'm gonna grab my glue. I'm not going to glue it yet. I'm going to glue it in a minute, but I still got to clean up everything around it. So, I mean, I'm kind of mad at whoever did it like that, but I'm also mad at myself because I shouldn't have. I mean, I really, honest to God, I usually give it up when I fuck things up. I say, you know what, I fucked that up. That was on me. See, like this right here, I did take some of the finish off here, so I fucked that up, but that I'm not too worried about. But and doing this, when I was doing it, I mean, I was barely applying any pressure. I was being really, and it just, I don't know, I guess I just hit the right pivot point, and it just, but oh, that makes me mad. But I'm more mad about the fact that who the fuck would do that like that? Ooh, yeah, see, look at that, yuck. I'm gonna do this real quick. I know a lot of people, when they do this, if they're filming, they like to, you know, let's clean half of the board, and then you can see that one half versus the other half and see how dirty it was. And, I'm not gonna do that because I didn't think about it until right after I started brushing this whole thing, so. Because I'm a dipshit. But I'm lovable. My mama tells me so. Success! All right. It works. Ooh, that's dusty. There's nothing quite like the stink of burning dust, you know? All right, so removing a fretboard. Let's try to get this to where we can actually see. Let's move this over here and see if we can. Does that work? All right. You get to look at my fat belly while I watch, or while I work. All right. So, first and foremost, again, and I try to say this in all of my videos, I am not an expert by any stretch of the word. I am someone that watches other people do shit, and I think to myself, hey, I could do that. And again, I have widely varying degrees of success in stuff that I try to do. Now, I have done this before, and again, varying degrees of success with that. But I will do my best to try to explain what I'm doing and all that. I mean, it's not rocket science. You're essentially heating the blade of a, I just have like a regular putty knife here. But the key to this is patience. You have to be patient when you're doing this. You can't speed it up. You can't force it. It's just, you've got to be really slow with it, and you've got to just work it just a little bit at a time. And if you do that, chances are much better that you're going to be successful in doing this. But you're essentially heating up the putty knife, getting it nice and hot, and then you're going to just kind of insert it in. Now this already has a split, so I have a good starting point to work from. If you want to do it, if you have an end like this, you know, where it's got overhang, that's probably a good place to start because you have a good spot with which, you know, to kind of wedge it in there. If you don't, I'm not gonna lie, it's not always that easy to find a good spot. You just kind of got to be, you know, real particular and real meticulous, and you know, just kind of work in there on the edge. Now, one thing you want to make sure you do if you're trying to re-glue is any glue that you can see or feel or whatever, you got to get all that glue out of there, because the thing about wood glue is it bonds wood together stronger than wood. I mean, as if you have two pieces that you're gluing together, that bond is going to be stronger than if it was just one piece of wood. But wood glue does not stick to wood glue. So if you have dried wood glue on two pieces of wood and you try to glue them together, it's not going to work. It won't adhere. So you need to make sure that any and all, which is why it's good to have the, you know, a little edge on this. You want to be careful that you don't. I'm getting all kinds of crap off of here. So I'm still getting pieces of stuff out of here. So, but you most definitely want to get as much glue residue out of here as you can. Looking straight, I was actually. Okay, it's a few days later, and I have skipped ahead a little bit, not much, but a little bit, and I wanted to kind of go over what I have done since the last thing I filmed. So, last thing I filmed, I had re-glued I had separated part of the fretboard, re-glued it and clamped it. And I've obviously taken the clamps off, and I'm really happy with how it turned out as far as, you know, not having, I don't know how well this will show up, you know, I keep saying that, but, you know, the separation's gone, it's gone on both sides. You can see, when you're looking really close, you can see a little bit, I mean, when you look at how it was done out of the factory, there's like absolutely nothing between, you just see wood and wood with no void. And there were little places in here, I mean, barely a void between it, but it was there. There was one that was present. And the way I don't expect it to be perfect like factory, only because knowing that once I separated this, there was still going to be old glue under there. There weren't going to be two perfect surfaces to put together. So when that happens, you're just not going to get, it's just not going to be perfect. There's no way it can be. So, but I got everything glued back down, and then what I did to be able to fill this in was I took a knife and very carefully right along the seam you know, I basically tried to cut out all the bits of glue, because I had to take the glue out. First of all, there was over squeeze that had dripped down. I used this to, you know, the stuff that came off easy you could just pick off, and then other stuff I actually used this as a scraper, not to cut against it, but to scrape the glue off. And then I used sandpaper, obviously, to smooth everything out. But then when I got to the point where there was just a little bit of glue that was present, I used this to cut down into the glue, and I could get some of it out of there. I also went like at a bevel and just barely, just the tiniest little sliver removed what was between the two, so that I did that on both sides, so that I would have just a small little channel there that I could put wood filler in and smooth it all out. And I'm, again, very happy with how it turned out. I mean, it doesn't look perfect. If you're looking for something to be wrong with it, you'll find it. But, and only by that I mean looking for something wrong, as in if you're looking to see something that has been repaired, you'll find it. But even the most professional repair jobs, if you're looking for a repair job, you're going to find it. So I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. But the other thing I did with that was, there were some spots on the back where there had been dings and little gouges and stuff like that. I at first filled them with the wood filler, and as I was sanding them down, they just were still sticking out so badly, and they weren't very deep. They were just enough to cause me a headache. So I just ended up just sanding everything down to the point where I just couldn't see them anymore. There's still a couple of them here that were a little bit deeper than others, that have just a little bit of a presence still in there, but not enough to where I'm really going to worry about it. But I sanded all the back of this down, everything like that, and it got to the point where there was a very obvious difference in the shade of the wood, the shading of the wood, and the shade, the color that we still had on the headstock, because I didn't want to sand this, because I didn't want to sand off the logo and all that. So in order to match that, I just went and I mean, I've got all kinds of wood stain out there, but I actually went and got this. This is like $5 at Lowe's or, you know, Ace or wherever. Just a regular Minwax. It's an oil-based stain. This color is golden pecan, and you know, I got a rag and just very, very, very lightly, you know, with the rag and stuff, just started to work the stain into the wood. You know, I sanded it down first to about, I don't know, 320 grit, I think, and then went in and did that. And this, you can't tell where the stain ends and the faded finish, you know, from the original finish begins. So I'm very happy with how this, with how it turned out, as far as color, and all that. So I even, you know, this is still, that part I couldn't, that was a chip that was out of there when I got it, and all I could do is fill that and try to get it to match. It's not going to match because the wood filler is just not for this color wood. But the other part that I broke off when I was taking the nut out, I mean, you can't even tell that that's been broken. I got that all glued back down, and I got it, you know, sanded a little bit and restained, and you can't tell. So I'm extremely happy with how this has turned out as far as color. All right, so it's been a couple days. Yes, I've skipped ahead a little bit. I wanted to get this thing finished, and so there were a couple nights I worked on this thing kind of late night after my daughter had gone to sleep, so, and I didn't really want to, you know, record and wake her up in the process. So, but I did get this finished. I got it set up as good as I could get it set up. It looks great. I mean, I think it looks great. You know, I got everything repolished. I ended up using tung oil on the neck, all for the entire neck, not just the not just the fretboard. And I'm really happy with how the neck turned out as far as aesthetic. The one thing it still needs is it could do with the fret job. Just because the frets, I mean, they're fairly level, but there are a few of them that are could probably be a little more in line with the others. And again, you know, $15–20 guitar that I ended up, what did I put into this? I ended up finding this tip here, so I didn't have to worry about that. I don't think I bought anything for this, really. I mean, it was all just parts that I had. I changed out the switch. That's right, I had a switch up there that I changed out. Sounds like a Strat, though. Now I can hear it. Yeah, that tone's working. Yeah, it's working. Never mind. God, I can't even strap to be able to play this. But anyway, it's, you know, I'm happy with it. The action, the only thing I can say that I want to get a fret job on it, because the action is just a little bit high, higher than I prefer. I mean, it's not bad. I don't know how well you can see, or if you'll even be able to see. I mean, it's not super duper high, but it's higher than I like it to be, especially when I still have some fret buzz there, you know. Not on every fret, but definitely on a couple of them. It just depends, you know. So it needs a fret job. It just needs to have the frets leveled. So I will more than likely be doing that in another video. I'm not going to continue on this particular project right now. I am going to call this one finished for what I wanted to accomplish, which was to get a piece of shit, extremely dirty, completely unplayable guitar back to playable condition, which it is playable. It's not the most playable it could be, but we'll get there. But mission accomplished on this particular one. Again, I'll pull this off and do a fret job at another time, and I'll record it then, and we'll call that part 2 on this one. But for right now, this particular project's done. We're on to the next one. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you like what you saw, please click subscribe, click the like button, the thumbs up button, and we'll see you next time. I appreciate it. Thanks.